Hello, everyone. My name is Candace Francis. I'm with CMIC, and I'm currently a product manager. I wanted to give you guys some insight on how CMIC can really benefit the construction industry when it comes on to our ERP solution. CMIC provides construction companies the ability to manage their business end-to-end through a single database deployment of an ERP. Managing projects from start to finish within CMIC allows users to seamlessly connect, whether it's managing their costs or document administration. Information is available in real time. The ERP suite offers users with financial control, human capital management, and asset management, where CMIC Field facilitates the processes required for project management, job costing, workflows, job billing, just to name a few as you see them listed below. When it comes on to operating in a single database platform, there are multiple benefits for the end users. The scalability within our tool allows our end users to be multi-million or billions when it comes on to their annual revenue, while they're still operating their business workflows and their processes within our single database. Reporting in real time provides our users with the ability to identify any analytic needs for their reporting needs for their business area, as well as reducing redundancies of having to utilize siloed systems, or even when it comes on to managing their day-to-day processes, everything in the system provides more transparency for the end users. Business workflows and initiating mappings to notify other users are processed through our workflow definitions within the software. And the overall user experience by utilizing one platform end-to-end really allows our users to log into a single database and apply an efficient process for their business needs. Overall, the single database platform increases efficiencies and assurance to the data integrity.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning, or wherever you're at throughout North America. My name again, Andrew Gautreau. I'm Vice President of AGI General Contracting. We are a general contractor based out of Southern California. We specialize in healthcare, grocery, and retail sectors. Just a little bit of background on us. We work generally in the West, California, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. Just getting started today, the first question that kind of came to mind when we're talking about analytics and trying to find efficiencies in the data that we have already in our systems throughout all of our companies was, hey, where do I start? How do I get this thing going? So first off, in our opinion, you need all the data in one system. You heard Candace speak earlier about CMIC having that opportunity to be one single database source. We recommend it be that same thing as well. We use CMIC. We love it. Problems when you have different software systems, accounting, project management, all these other ancillary systems, Excel, you have data across all different platforms. It's hard to get that data collected together and display it in an analytic fashion that helps you run your business better. So that's step one. Step two, you really need a system to have an analytic or a business intelligence tool so that you aggregate that data, take it and visualize it different ways that helps you better manage and better run your business. There's several business intelligence analytics tools out there. You guys can Google it and you find it online. If your software is similar to CMIC, everything's in one spot, and CMIC also has an analytics tool, and that's what we use, and you'll see that in some of the visualizations that I show you shortly. Third thing, you got to dream up what you want to see on your dashboard. It's these analytic tools that you have, and that's where it really takes creativity. Your department heads, your executives should be thinking things through. What do you want to see? And really think about goals that you have as a company. And there's that common language out there that most of you have heard, SMART goals, something specific, measurable. You can go through that whole list, achievable, realistic, time-based. If you have all that within your system already, that data, you can actually take that, aggregate it, and use that to now set new goals for your company. That data continues on. You can continue to tighten goals and make things better and better. Fourth item, just get started. Don't think you're going to solve the problems in a day and have fantastic analytics and dashboards. It's really a journey. It's a process that you need to go through, and when you just get the ball rolling, it starts to get its own momentum, and it will evolve over time. And then just the last thing, you got to constantly be looking at evolving your dashboards, updating the goals that you have, updating the data that you're getting, using those dashboards. And you got to do it with some regularity, but probably not too often. You don't want the data changing every 2 weeks, every month, but you need to continue to look at it year by year as you're maybe setting new goals within a year. Update your dashboards and your analytics accordingly. So this next slide is, and we're just taking one sample, and we're using like safety issues. That's kind of a general topic. And what I'm going through, first thing is just build the dashboard like I mentioned. And the visualization you see here is really more like a table, but it's pulling data from multiple sources within the system that we use. We're pulling data in from checklists, pulling data in from an issues program, from contacts, etc., so that you can pull it all together. Those are things you just can't do in Excel. That's why we recommend you got to be in a single database. But when you just start building things that let you see that in this table, you might be encountering missing information, or when you look at it in the table that you're pulling it all together, you might see that things seem incorrect. It lets you go in and turn on the lights to go clean up that data. Things often might be missing, incomplete, inaccurate because you have different divisions, different departments all populating this, and things might be done a little differently. But when you start pulling the data together, you can start seeing things might be missing and get it there. You can also now start showing this to your team saying, hey, we're missing some data here, some things are inaccurate. And you start setting parameters for them to start getting on board because they know that you're watching it. They know that you're looking at what they're doing. So it's easier to now start pushing back on them to set the new day. This is what we're going to do with the analytics that we're doing. And then lastly is once everything's cleaned up, as I mentioned previously, you should look with regularity to update things. So it might be if you're starting from scratch, you've never done it before, you probably can be looking at missing inaccurate data, and you might be cleaning that for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. But once that's all cleaned up, then you can go to version 2.0 and start getting data looked at in a different way. So that brings me to the next slide here, which is version 2.0. So the same data, we're looking at safety issues across multiple programs within our system. And you can start seeing over the last year, you see the number of incidents that show up. You see it graphically. And then you can also see to the right, we have safety issues by superintendent. You can start using this data. It has meaning to you now. Wow, it's like, hey, what spiked for us in February? What spiked for us in October? Is that related to a lot of jobs going on that month? Is there something that happened? And you can start managing people. You can start managing the process better because you're seeing it in a new visualization. The visual to the right actually shows you by superintendent. So we can go back and these top two guys, hey, JM, O1, LMO, we got to do some training with them. We got to do some coaching because they're having more issues show up on their jobs. What do we need to do? What are those issues? And so it lets you now run your business better. You're more efficient because you're saying, hey, what are the issues I'm having each month? Who are the guys that need the training to make these things go away? So that's a 2.0. You might be hearing, maybe you're doing this for 2, 3, 6 months, a year. And then there's what I mentioned previously. You should always be looking at what's next. What else can I do with this? That brings me to version 3.0. Version 3.0, there's 2 more visuals here. And this came from talking things through with my partner, our president, our field director, looking at, I'd like to know what issues we're having because I need to train the overall group on the issues that are most common occurring here. So you see the pie chart that's there. You can see the one visual, it's approximately 35%. That's wearing hard hats. So it's what's going on. Is that certain jobs that have that? Is that certain subcontractors that have that? That obviously we need some more training there because that's an issue that's happening. You can, when you hover over any of the slices, you see the little pop-up and the one you see there about railings or floor roof openings. It lets you see it just by having the right analytics tool, just hovering over things to see everything that you want. And for us, we take this tool and we take our top 2 or 3 items, and that's what we use for safety training at our next safety meeting with our superintendent or our field staff. Another issue that came up was like, well, what contractors are we working with that have safety issues? We're a general contractor, so we subcontract virtually everything out. So what are the issues we're having and what subcontractors we need to be really talking to? And that's where you see the visual on the right. The drywall company, the painting company, etc. Those are the guys we need to be working with and talking to because if we can make them safer, we're making them more money. We're making ourselves more money because we don't have safety issues with things happening on the job. And every one of us, if we're in construction, we all know safety should be a value of every company in construction. We want to be able to show up for work every day and come home every day safely. And using analytics tools lets you do that. And these last 3 slides that I showed you, that's just an evolution that we've gone through over the last year or so. And we still have a version 4.0 that we're actually working on ourselves. So we're going to take these different issues that you see on the pie chart, and we're actually going to put priorities to them. So like from a safety perspective, you might not have the right signage out on the job site, or you might not have pans underneath the portable toilets or things that are an issue, but they're not the same issue as having a fall protection issue where somebody might fall, kill themselves, or seriously hurt themselves. So we're going to put priorities to them. And we're also going to do drill downs, and this is all things available to us in our software that we can drill into that specific company, the drywall company or the painting company, and identify what specific issues are they having, because it might be something not as major, or it might be something that we can really coach them to help make them better. So the better they perform, the better they're going to perform for us as a contractor. So that's version 4.0. I don't have that, but that's what we're working on, next steps in process. So wanted to just throw out a few other ideas for people. I always found helpful going to conferences and seeing how other people do things. So I gave you kind of a version 1 through 3 on the safety. Here's some other ideas that we have. The visual that you see is one of our dashboards that we look at daily. It shows you open RFIs, and we set parameters. If something's due within 2 days, it alerts yellow. If it's over 2 days from being due, it alerts green. If it's due today or overdue, it alerts red, so that you can click on it, it drills down, and then you can go deal with that architect or that owner that needs the RFI answered so that we can keep going and not have delays on the job. Very similar mindset with submittals, that we set up different parameters for when they're due from subcontractors, due back from architects and owners, etc. We have dashboard visuals for that. PCIs, that's our nomenclature for change orders. We have a whole visual for that, as well as open AP invoices. The bottom section is compliance. It's everything related to insurance, work orders, contracts, etc. that we're making sure people are compliant or not. As well as into the bottom left there was a little list of daily journals or daily reports if anything's missing, that we actually have it. Go search our system. If a job is live and active, do we have a daily report for the day, so that our field operations people can make sure the superintendents are doing what they need to do. So to the right, there's a list of a few other things that we do on the estimating side of things, billing revenue. You might have 10 different clients, and you break it down and you can see how much you're spending, how much you're billing for each client. And that's a nice thing to know, but it's also nice to look at that and compare it with how much your bidding is costing you for that client. So you might have a client that takes 10% of your time to bid, but they're only generating 2% of the revenue. Probably not a client you want to keep spending more time with if you're not getting the opportunities with them. Or vice versa. If you do have somebody that is 20% of your revenue, they're only taking 5% of your time to bid it, that's a client that you want to keep opening the door and go deeper with. Those are things that we look at. I'm not going to read the whole list, but I'll just highlight a couple. Internal change orders, we try to break issues that show up on our jobs and break them into different departments. If there's scope issues that were missed, we can flag them for estimating so that they can learn and move forward. We do the same for the field, for project management, etc. We have a project listing, we have a bid board. That's kind of more administrative for people calling in. We can have our admins be able to see what jobs are going on, when they start and end, who the whole team is, what jobs we're bidding or not. Those end up being very helpful just for general knowledge across the company. And then the one, just to explain a little bit, the subcontractor matrix that we use, they actually grab data for every job that we have, what phase code or cost code, so painting or drywall or fire sprinklers or mechanical or whatever, and we list out all jobs, and we drop in subcontractor names, and it all extracts right out of our system. So when we're doing job selection and we're doing awarding for our subcontractors, we can see if we're overloading a contractor or not, if we haven't been using somebody as much as someone else, to try to keep things fair, spread things around, making sure we're not causing problems on jobs. So that's just a few of the items that I want to throw out there, just kind of what your guys' appetite for what analytics can do for you. I want to just take this moment, and that's the end of my portion of it. I'm going to hand it over to Rishi Maha. So Rishi, take it from here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rishi Maha. I'm going to walk you through a brief introduction about DPR construction, and then we'll jump right into our topic. DPR construction is the 10th largest contractor in the US, according to the ENR ratings for 2019. We are headquartered at Redwood City in California, and then we have offices in Europe, Asia, And this is our current, we have about 3,400 full-time or admin employees and 3,300 craft employees. And DPR operates primarily in these 5 core markets. And these are our 2018 national rankings in our core markets. And safety is a top priority at DPR. This is our recordable rate in 2018. And DPR is a great company to work for. For the last 5 years, we have been ranking on Fortune 100's best companies to work for. And we exist to build great things. Jumping into our topic today, I'm going to talk about our journey at DPR, how we started with our data analytics program, what was our whole rationale getting deeper into data, and how we really went about it. So when we started looking into setting up a data analytics team at DPR, we started looking into the whys of why do we really need to get there? What is the value it is going to bring to our organization? We were already doing regular BI, we were doing a lot of reporting, but why a data strategy? We sat down together as a team and then figured out where are we today as an organization and where do we want to go? So we started breaking down different levels of data analytics and business intelligence. I mean, if you look at it, the top of it is more reactive, and I've given a few examples here which talk about what those are. But we realize that we are reactive today, but we want to get to more recommended actions or automatic action. So we want to go through this whole cycle of reactive answers, getting into more pattern recognition, getting into more predictions, and then comes machine learning and artificial intelligence, where we can use recommended actions and automatic actions. Now, automatic actions are a bit tricky in the construction industry, given the nuances we have, how we do construction. Each job site is different, each project is different. But we sat down and we realized that this is our journey we want to take. And we looked at is, in this journey, going from visualization to prediction, we need to take it across the project life cycle. Just succeeding in one area is not going to be enough for us to have a project success. We went for how we were going after projects all the way to post-construction, and we identified different areas where we want to bring in efficiencies. We want to use getting from more reactive to predictive. We identify a few areas. This is not by no means a complete list, but we identify a few areas where we want to start jumping in and creating more impact for our users, for our owners. And at the end of the day, what do our owners want to see? I mean, they want to see insights based on data that leads to action and more predictable results. As our owners are getting more and more demanding, they are demanding more data-driven decisions. They are demanding more insights. They want to know ahead of time when certain thing is going to happen. So we started getting into more of those, and then I'll talk on the next few slides on how we went about it. So really, to get there, going from visualization to prediction requires a solid foundation. What I mean by solid foundation is it has to be based on these 4 core areas of data analytics. Analytics and visualization is just part of the whole data analytics. We really have to go into details about how are we going to really define our data security, who has access to what is it what we are sharing with people. Since we are an international organization, we also care about GDPR. And then getting into analytics and visualization is how are we really sharing this data with people? What kind of dashboarding tool or reporting tool are we using? And we are not trying to just put charts and reports on a dashboard. We want to tell a story with our data, which can lead to more actions and which can really change behaviors on how we are impacting our construction lifecycle. And the other thing we want to do is to be more than reactive. We want to really get into more deeper, do a deeper analysis on why certain things are happening certain ways. So we started looking into data science. We started looking into ML. We started looking into more of those algorithms which drive our AI. And all this has to be built on a foundation of a solid data engineering. We as an organization, we use many different systems. Data comes from a lot of different places. We needed one single place where all this data comes in, and then on the top of it, we can do all these analytics. We can do more of data science. We can do more of machine learning, and so on. So we needed a solid data engineering infrastructure, which can be built. We can make systems talk to each other. People are not entering data at different systems. They are entering once, and then data goes to multiple systems. There is a source of truth. For all that to happen, we needed excellent data pipelines on how data is flowing from one system to another. We needed a way where all this data comes into one single system. We needed a better way to manage our data quality, and so on. So, and as I said earlier, this requires a lot of work. Abstracting access to disparate data sources, developing a single semantic repository, which is a source of truth, instead of asking people to go to 10 different systems to get the reporting. What if there's one single repository or one single data warehouse which everyone can come in and get the reporting? This is the same place where our data scientists can go in and use the data to build their machine learning models. This is the same place where our executive management can come in and take a quick look at how we are doing as a company, how we are doing on our projects. And then optimizing data availability in real time. We can always build data pipelines which are nightly or which happen once a week, but as cloud and cloud infrastructures, and in this day and age, building data pipelines is getting much more simpler, much more faster. People are demanding real-time data. They want to know as soon as something happens, how quickly can I see it? So we are building our infrastructure to really cater to that. And then not only creating a single repository, but creating a governed and secure data layer, which works with our infrastructure, which uses Active Directory, file system, and which is within our enterprise security. And we do not want to expose our critical data sources. We use CMIC both for our project management and enterprise. Some of our enterprise data has very confidential information. We have payroll data. We have labor transactions. We do not want to expose those things to everyone. So how do we really make sure that we create that abstract layer which really gets the data in, but based on the security exposes it to people who should really see it? And then we built our platform. If you see this layer, we have different data sources currently. We are all the way from structured all the way to unstructured. On our structured side, we have our CMIC system, a lot of spreadsheets. We use Primavera for our scheduling, and then we have a lot of SaaS systems which we use. And as you move to the right, we have a lot of unstructured data coming from our IoT sources. We are going to be starting exploring into more of building information models, getting into drone data, getting into the data which is captured by our CAMs. And then we started looking into is we want to expose all this data to our consumers to be used for applications. We don't want our applications directly going and talking to a system piece by piecemeal basis. We want them to talk to one single place. We want our mobile applications to talk to the same system so that there is one single place where everyone is pulling up a data point. There are no different versions of the data point. That's the key information in there. That's the key strategy we wanted to put in. And then once we built this layer in between the cloud data warehousing and infrastructure layer, I think then it became very easy for really our infrastructure or data journey to be more realistic, because now all this data is coming into one single place, and the top layer, the consumer layer, is using everything from one single repository. And the last thing is we have a lot of, these days there are a lot of BI tools out there, but what we need to be really careful about is how are we using these BI tools to drive decisions. It's very easy to put together a dashboard in these BI tools, but the important thing to maybe take a step back and think about is, what is the story we are trying to tell? What is the action we expect someone to take with a dashboard or a report we are putting through? So we need to be very careful with that. Otherwise, there's a tendency to all these reports to become noise, because what if 10 people are pulling the same data point from the same source and they're applying their own transformation on it and sharing it with people? Then people who are looking at it, they don't know what is real, what is the real data point versus what someone has applied a transformation on. So that is something always to be very careful about. So we created usage analytics on our dashboards so that we understand who is using what, where do we really need to pay more attention to. With that, thank you, and I'm going to hand it over to Jim.
Thanks, Rishi. And hello, everyone. My name is Jim Peart. I'm a software developer for Pepper Construction, and it's my pleasure to speak with you about some of the ways Pepper is using data to improve our operations. Before I get started, I just want to give you some background on Pepper. So Pepper is a general contractor that's had a strong presence in the Midwest since 1927. And right now we have locations in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Wisconsin. And one of our core values, and we really think it's what sets us apart as a contractor, is our focus on our people. And for this discussion, I've selected two topics that highlight how we're using tech and our historical project data to help our people work more effectively. So here's what we'll cover. First, we'll cover how we're combining our project safety data, our BIM data, and how we're using a 3D gaming engine to create virtual safety training. I'll get into that in a second. And then I'll briefly discuss how we've evolved our opportunity management process to visualize and clean up our opportunity data. All right, so I'll start with a scenario. So as you look at this image, imagine you're on a high-rise job and you've gone through the basics of fall protection. You're finally hoisted into the air to begin your work. But as you look over the ledge and peer down at the concrete hundreds of feet below you, there's a guardrail. So you assure yourself that you're protected. But then you make the wrong move and you sense danger a second too late and begin to fall off the ledge. Now, no one wants to go through that on a job site, and no one wants their people to go through that. So experiencing this scenario in a controlled classroom environment can be a powerful learning opportunity, without the risk of life or safety on a job site. And like I mentioned earlier, our people set us apart. So our goal is to equip them with high quality training that helps them get the job done safely. So what you'll see in this slide is some images of our virtual safety training. In the center there, that's actually a rendering of one of our jobs and the safety training that's associated with it. And the reason why we wanted to do this in the first place is because it's easy to lose focus and drift off during a PowerPoint presentation, like this one. I'm sure there have been moments where you've been listening and looking at the slides and kind of thinking about other things. We're all busy people. But our integrated construction services and safety teams work together to build this new compelling way to do safety training. So to give you a rundown of how it works, we're already scanning our projects and creating point cloud data. You can see in the bottom right of this slide, that's one of our people doing a scan of one of our concrete jobs to get the point cloud data. So we have that. And we can use that data to create a 3D model of the job site, our actual job site. And then what our BIM team did is they took that model, that 3D model, and put it into Unreal Engine, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's essentially a gaming engine that's used for a lot of AAA titles. So they're able to use that model and create a very lifelike rendering of the job site that we can conduct our safety training through. So the feedback that we've received from the field who have actually used this is that it's engaging and interesting, much more than a PowerPoint presentation. And most importantly, it forces participation. So you have to be engaged as you go through the scenario to take a look at what's happening on that job site. And something that's really compelling for us is that we can use our safety data for a particular type of job. So in this case, we'll say a concrete job. And let's say our safety data says that one of our biggest risks is falling objects. There is a scenario in this safety training where the participant will walk up to a node and then there will be a falling hazard, actually plywood falling from a level above them, and they can see it falling, look at it, and it's a very immersive experience. So that's what we're talking about with this type of safety training. We found it to be very effective, and we're looking forward to rolling it out into future jobs. I'd also like to talk about how we're visualizing our opportunity data. So obviously, proper management of our opportunity pipeline is critical to our financial performance. And here is a screenshot that's obviously been sanitized, so you can't see, the financial and other sensitive data. But you can get an idea of what we're doing with this visualization. We built this because during our sales meetings and when we're trying to review our opportunities, it's very difficult to look at tabular data, like from a PDF report or on an Excel spreadsheet. It's hard to pick out anomalies or see data that's incorrect. And like Andrew stated a little while back, is that these type of visualizations shine a light on bad data. So if you're in a sales meeting and you see that, your operations group on the bottom here is nowhere near their goal, but you're expecting to be, you can see that in that bar graph. And then the visualization allows you to drill into it and see, what records are making up that discrepancy, and you can fix them. And that's something that we've found to be very useful for this type of visualization to clean up bad data. Also, as has been mentioned in this webinar already, we don't want to just create graphs for no reason. There has to be some kind of purpose behind this. So our purpose here is to be able, for everyone on the team, to be able to visualize where we currently are in our pipeline, what opportunities we have, who has those, and what market type they fall into. So something that's really nice, again, about building this type of visualization is that you can interact with it. So I can't do it on this static slide, but imagine you're trying to figure out who has all of these commercial opportunities. Like up on the top right of this slide, you can see pipeline by market type. If you want to see who has those commercial opportunities, you can just click on that bar and it'll interact with the visualization below it and show you who has those opportunities. And you can drill in further if need be. So the fact that the report is live and interactive is a great benefit to our team. So how did we come to build this? And I think Andrew mentioned this before, that you have to get, a minimally viable product out there and get it in the hands of your end user so you can test it, get feedback, and make changes. Or else you'll tend to get stagnant and not actually ever produce anything because it's never going to be perfect. So we released version 1 about a year ago, and we've gone through at least 6 iterations since then to get to what we have now, which still isn't perfect, but it's a huge improvement over what we had originally. And to move on from visualizations, what we're trying to do is try to get some kind of insights into which opportunities we should target using our historical data. And to do that, we've partnered with a technology partner because we don't have the resources internally to do that right now. So we've partnered with a company called Brick. If any of you have heard of it, it's BRIQ, to use our historical project data to provide best fit insights. So they'll be able to give us a recommendation on, based on our past projects and opportunities, here's something that you should definitely look at, whereas there's a lot of noise in these other opportunities that maybe you should bypass. So we can empower our decision makers to use those insights to make better decisions about what opportunities we pursue. And if you have any, if you want to learn more about Brick or some of the other things we're doing with tech, you can go to br.iq, that's Brick's site, or pepperconstruction.com, where we go into more detail about the different technologies we're implementing.
All right, well, we're coming up near the end, so I think I have one kind of closing question, which is a lot of the people I'm sure who are listening in are wondering, I'm hearing a lot about analytics. I want to get into it, but I'm starting to get the sense that this is more than just buying something off the shelf and installing it and being done with it. So if you had just had one tip for someone who is either being told by their company, get us on this, or is trying to convince their company to, let's dig up our data and see what's there, is there one starting tip you'd give them to sort of save them some headaches? I guess I'll just go down the line. Andrew?
I'll start with saying you got to be in one ERP system that's got everything. When you have different systems, it's harder to extract the data and get it all pulled together. If accounting's in one system, project management's in another, submittals are in another system, it's just too complicated. The same thing with using Excel. If those are things that you're heavily reliant upon now, you can be successful doing what you do, but in the age to come, it's going to be people that get to the data faster, that get to it easier. That's what's going to change the construction industry, because concrete hasn't changed a lot, paint hasn't changed a lot, but technology has changed it. So to be in a system where you can grab everything, grab it quickly, I think that's where the future's going.
Okay, Rishi, final thoughts, one little tip for those looking to get in?
Sure. I would say start questioning the data, ask a lot of questions. A lot of times when people reach out with a problem statement, that may not be exactly what they're looking for. So ask a lot of questions and make sure that not just answer what they're asking for, but go a bit deeper. That will give a good insight going into much deeper into data and really answering the real problems. Right.
And Jim, from your team there at Pepper, any thing for anyone else who looks to dive in the deep end on this?
Yeah, sure. So I'd like to echo what both Andrew and Rishi said earlier in the presentation, that there needs to be a single source of truth for the data. And yes, you'd like to have it all in one ERP system. But if that's not possible, if changing ERP systems is difficult and your company's not going to do that, just make sure that the external solutions that we're using to that ERP system, like if you're using a different accounting system or you're integrating with some other system that has data that you want to use, make sure there's the possibility to integrate that through some kind of API or web service and test that out. Because if you don't have that, it makes it much more difficult to bring all the data together to be used properly.
So I'd like to ask everyone to join me in thanking Andrew Gautreau, Rishi Maha, and Jim Peart for their presentations today, as well as our sponsor, CMIC. I hope this has been a valuable use of your time, and I'm just going to turn this over to our sponsor, CMIC, for some final words. Thank you.
Thank you. So overall, when we think about what's happening within the construction industry, we took a look at some polling numbers when it comes on to some statistics. The growth within the industry for contractors is continuously increasing, and some of the redundancies that our contractors are experiencing by utilizing manual tools is something that we're trying to alleviate by really applying a single ERP system for them to benefit from for their business needs. By really constructing your solution and having one single source of truth, at the end of the day, it provides you with more efficiency with your data as well as your structure within the organization. And that transparency within the data structure will be there for all end users end to end, regardless of where they may lie within the business. When we think about reporting by exception, our analytic tool within CMIC does give our users the ability to report by exception. You have the ability to structure your data within our catalog builder, and then you have the key components utilized when it comes on to visualizing the data elements. So depending on how you want to see that data, whether it's a dashboard configuration with a bar chart or a pie chart, we give our users multiple instances for them to really use that data so it'll be beneficial to them when they're trying to streamline any process. And the report writing capabilities now has given our users more insight in saving with cost. So what's happened before is paying for customization on reports is really costly to a business. So now you have that data at your fingertips. You can decide how you want to push out that data because it's all within the same database and you're not having to extract from siloed systems, and which can also cause some redundancies as well as it will impact the integrity of that data set. Some of the key components that we find very beneficial within our analytics portal is the ability to customize and create your structure and how you want to see that, and then push it out to your end users. So within our single database, we do define everything based on security, because just because everything is within one platform, you want to still have those security measures. Certain people won't be able to access any of your sensitive data. So having security configurations within your reporting needs is something that's very important, and having the ability to do mass updates when you're making any changes and you want to push it out to certain people within the business, that's something that's able to be configured and very easily deployed within the system. Continuously reporting by exception, you have to always filter and configure your data. But with doing so within the system, you can save those configurations so you never have to continuously run and configure information once you set that data protocol. The main elements of CMIC analytics is really having one portal to execute that suite of tools. So whether you're structuring your data set, reporting within the visualizations, or creating your own canvas to streamline within the business, it does allow our users to have one area where they can configure and set everything, apply their security updates, and then report end to end within the business. Today, we're going to provide you with a solutions brief so it can give you some insight on the main elements that you can utilize as a business by capturing analytics within an ERP. This will come into the details when it comes on to the features and benefits and the main capabilities our customers are able to actually attain by utilizing an analytics tool. So I'd like to thank you today for listening, and I hope everyone has a nice day.